Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the Ray Fisher situation because it's taken a very interesting turn in light of the Derek Chauvin verdict. Ray Fisher not happy with a statement that Warner Brothers released talking about how, we need to push for social justice and we need to listen to black people and the virtue signaled and it backfired.
It reminds me of the Star Wars Twitter being, called out over and over again for stepping over certain black men and not recognizing them on their birthdays, turning around and using the Martin Luther King Jr. Day as the time to say about racism, while they themselves would not, fix the issues people had brought up. And Star Wars themselves have been called out for being racist a couple times. But the difference was when they said it and people, people like us who didn't like Last Jedi, you're still an istaphobe. Now, everybody's like, that's right, Ray Fisher, you go.
Yeah, I mean, he had some support before, but now a lot of people are like, wow, man, Warner Brothers, you are trash.
Right, and they're both shit. I mean, Warner Brothers and Star Wars, both what they did was crap.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I mean, this is what happens when these companies virtue signal because you're never, when you make a big show of showing how progressive and virtuous you are, you can never live up to your own standards, and you cultivate an audience of people that have very high expectations for you.
And people are calling you out on your shit.
And they're calling you out. Yeah, this is why a lot of companies, frankly, when it comes to political stuff, they probably should just keep their mouth shut and make movies, but this is 2021. Stick to sports, right? So we're going to talk about that. So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, we're over 185,000 subs. Thanks for the support. We've been kind of sort of following the Ray Fisher situation. Now, just a very, very brief recap of what happened. Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in Justice League, came out against Warner Brothers last year, I believe, and said that he was treated very poorly on set by Joss Whedon and some others associated with the movie. He got into it with Warner Brothers very publicly on Twitter, and Warner Brothers launched an investigation. They said they found nothing. He blasted the head of Warner Brothers, WarnerMedia. He's been on a tirade for months and months and months and months.
And a lot of other actors have come out and said, yes, that the two had issues.
They had issues, yeah. And my own personal take on it is at first I was like, well, he's not giving us specific examples of what happened.
He did eventually, though.
He did eventually. And I think it's probably because of an NDA or they told him to keep his mouth shut or whatever. And having seen the Snyder cut, it's very obvious that they really did cut Cyborg's role. I mean, significantly.
Yes, the Snyder cut was infinitely better for Cyborg than what we got.
So I get some of the salt. So anyway, so this happens. They fired him, I guess, off of The Flash. He's still upset. And then Warner Brothers decides yesterday, never to miss an opportunity to virtue signal that they're going to put this tweet out. WarnerMedia, the work continues. While this verdict doesn't bring back those we've so wrongly lost, we know that it brings us closer to significant change. We reaffirm our commitment to be part of the solution by using our platform's content and resources to advance racial equity and social justice.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I'd be mad too.
I would be so pissed.
He said, I'm quoting, "How fucking dare you, WarnerMedia? Now I'm pissed." Dude, I get you. I totally get you. And then it led to it was a Justice for Ray Fisher hashtag again, going on Twitter all over the place because other people were mad too. But I just think it's just interesting to me that how different this is. Like when this happens, to Ray Fisher and, WarnerMedia did what they did, then everybody, was like justice for Ray Fisher. But, Star Wars Twitter has done some really shitty things before, got called out for it. And there was no, justice for John Boyega. I mean, in regards to Star Wars Twitter.
They're using John Boyega now after he had
Which is more insulting.
Right. He had to confront them because a lot of people, look, ourselves included, before Black Lives Matter, we're like, why did they do Finn dirty? Why did they build him up to be a major character and then turn him into comic relief?
Back before it was cool to virtue signal like this.
Yeah, and that's not virtue signaling. That's just like
taking... It's calling out a fact.
Calling out a fact. Taking a character that was built up to be one thing and doing an about face and then saying how, look guys, how progressive we are. We've got a black lead in Star Wars, except, China. So
Back when it was just called calling people out on their shit. You know, that, you know, and then it became, in vogue to say these things.
So they're getting massive pushback. Now, this is the same Warner that, by the way, threw lots and lots of money at one of the BLM co-founders, movie deal, you know. But they're having a hard time with the Ray Fisher situation.
Yes.
He's being disagreeable. He shouldn't be disagreeable. Performative gesture, says Brandon Hunt. We're on some bullshit here and would prefer if our fans didn't remember the hell we put Ray Fisher through. If you could please forget that, that'd be great. Also, please forget that we fostered a toxic environment when we employed Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns. That'd be neat. Anyway, our higher-ups made us tweet this thinking it would be a good idea. I think in some cases like this shows first, and this has happened on many occasions, companies should just stay out of it, for the most part. I think there's not much you can really say that's going to make people feel better about the situation.
Well, when they don't say anything, though, Twitter demands they say something or they cancel them. And then so they say things. Now they think they have to say something all the time, and they make statements, and there's, it's like what was good a month ago isn't probably necessarily good now. And, you're chasing after Twitter and worrying about what these people say. Maybe you should just, stay out of it. Unless it's necessary.
Yeah, so people are like, the work continues. Ray Fisher confirms he's been removed from The Flash.
And that because they just mentioned that they were working on the filming of it. And yeah, he was mad about that because he was removed. Yeah, meanwhile, Amber Heard still has a job.
Yeah, so this is what happens. This is what happens when you cultivate an audience based on politics. A lot of times, when you get political, you're gonna piss people off because they're gonna have certain expectations. And I mean, again, the Ray Fisher situation is very complicated. And I'm sure there are two sides to every story. But Warner, especially in the last year or so, the only one I can think of that's actually the virtue signaled harder is probably Disney. But Warner has definitely done everything they could do to show how inclusive they are. Right. And how sensitive they are.
And they've also, it's interesting because the Snyder cut is the one who gave Ray Fisher the part that he, which you understand why he was mad if you saw that. Yeah. But then they made sure that was the end of, the Snyder verse. They're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. So I'll bring that up because I wasn't sure if we had enough to really do a full video on Ray Fisher, but a couple of days ago, I think it was last week, they released a trailer for the Snyder trilogy. Basically, the Snyderverse is a trilogy and it's over. They're not doing it anymore. They seem to be doubling down on, not restoring the Snyderverse. They want to reboot it with J.J. Abrams.
Well, here's the kicker. We got a much better Flash and Cyborg out of the Snyder cut than we did out of the theatrical release.
Yeah, there is that. That is
Superman too. Better everything, pretty much.
Pretty much. The Snyder cut, for all the controversy around it, I think it's a very uncontroversial opinion to say that the Snyder cut was vastly superior to the train wreck that was released in theaters. Everything made sense. It could actually follow the plot.
That was how long?
It was ridiculously long, but it made sense. I mean, it honestly should have been divided up into two movies.
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot. But, hey, it is what it is. But anyway, Twitter is again rallying for Ray Fisher. This is not going away. It shouldn't go away.
No, it's not going to go away.
And here's the thing. I mean, it is bullshit that the studios can do shitty things and then turn around and when something happens, they're like, oh, but we care. Here's our statement.
They don't.
That's it. They don't care.
They don't. Neither does Disney. Neither does any of these. Look, there might be individuals within the studio that legitimately care. But my thing, and this has always been, advice I would give anybody. When somebody has to tell you they're a good person and they constantly have to tell you how good they are, it's usually to let your guard down so you don't judge them for being shitty, so they can stick it in your back. Like immediately if somebody comes up to me and says, oh yeah, you can trust me, I'm very trustworthy, I'm very honest, I'm like immediately I do not trust them. And same with these companies.
And that's why these companies in Hollywood double down so hard to shut up people that are trustworthy because they want you to listen to them and not the people that are calling out, look, the Emperor's not wearing any clothes, because they're not wearing any clothes. Put your winky back in. We don't want to see it.
What?
I'm just saying that they don't wear. There's no substance. The Emperor's not wearing clothes.
Tuck it. Because you don't have any pants on, so you gotta tuck it.
Tuck it. We don't want
tuck it.
Put your damn clothes on, and then you can say things. Until then, we're not saying tuck and suck it. What's wrong with you? Anyway, put your clothes on.
I'm talking figuratively.
Okay.
Figuratively.
Anyway, let's wrap this up before we get any more trouble.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. Another virtue signal that backfires tremendously.
People are calling them out now. People aren't standing for it anymore.
All right, so you gonna wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.